Hi guys, welcome to Ask Marcus, a series where I answer your questions using my framework of kindness, patience, and positivity, all in a means to better our mental health, physical fitness, and spiritual awareness. If you want your questions to be answered in a future video, send me an email or an Instagram DM. Alright, so what's our first question?
My question is about micromanaging parents. I had to come home from college last week, and since being back, my mother has been very overbearing about my schoolwork and online classes. When I ask her to stop, she says she's only doing it because she cares about me. It is starting to get really annoying and out of hand because she will wake me up well before my classes and constantly remind me to get ready for them. How do I let her know that despite being back, I still want to remain independent when it comes to my schoolwork?
Man, that's a really good question. So first off, let's acknowledge that it sounds like your mom wants you to succeed, and your mom is attempting in her best way to help you. So after we acknowledge that and we recognize that that might not necessarily be working, we have to think about how we approach your mother to have this conversation, because it's really a conversation about the kind of nurturing versus the actual nurturing itself. So I like to use the metaphor of watering a plant. Well, I, as the gardener, may really want this plant to grow. So I water it every day, and maybe even 3 or 4 times a day, just because I want it to grow so bad. And I love this plant so bad. But the plant needs space, and it needs more than just water. It needs space and sunlight. It needs an opportunity to stretch and to grow. And all of that watering is actually drowning the plant, so the plant doesn't blossom. And so when the parent is able to understand that relationship, all of a sudden they step back. And I think right now, a lot of parents are having to really address their desire and their projection of growth onto their young ones, because they're now in a place to spend so much attention to their young ones, they might overwater and not mean to. So you might say to your mother, thank you for this great attention and the amount of attention to detail you're giving me, but please give me a little space so that I can grow my roots and blossom. And I hope that that helps the both of you have a peaceful and patient conversation and productive conversation. Next question.
How do I let go of guilt and resentment to live my best life? I feel like the guilt I feel of some of the things I have done and resentment towards people who have hurt me and the people that I love have not allowed me to grow and mature as much as I want to. How can I become free of those feelings?
Well, first thing I'm going to tell you is to become free of those feelings is almost to reference forgetting them. And so let's talk about the idea of acceptance versus denial. So we don't want to just throw away those experiences, but we don't want to dwell on them. We have to accept they happen to us and they have affected our experience and how we will see things, but they don't have to dictate how we will see things. And in that process of acceptance, you start to find peace. So if the problem you're having is resentment and guilt in a circumstance or a situation you've gone through, then what's happening is you're being burdened down versus being able to hold on to the lesson that was there. So for me, in the choice forward dichotomies, in order to maintain kindness, patience, and positivity, when reflecting on events that were really negative, I choose lesson or barrier, and I choose lesson, because in the choices of lesson or barrier, the barrier will just create blockades and I'm not going to learn anything. Meaning that the next time I'm faced with an opportunity, but it's met with a challenge, and I have a test now, I'm going to be more burdened than I will have been motivated. So, if you're having a hard time with resentment, then you really want to see the lessons in what you've learned, or the lessons in that experience. So if you're having a hard time with resentment, really focus on writing down that experience and draw as many lessons from it as you can. And focus on those lessons, because that experience was an opportunity to learn something and help you grow. And the moment you see what you've learned from that experience, the things you don't want to have it happen again, the choices you don't want to make again, or the choices someone else made towards you that you don't want someone to make again. When you see those lessons that are learned, you're able to create boundaries that are necessary to keep yourself safe and protected, but also keep your path moving forward, versus finding yourself in a place where you're thinking about what happened constantly and it's just eating at you. And in that situation, there is no acceptance, and everything will always burden you the moment you are tested by it, and you will constantly be creating barriers that you are trying to run away from. And what you end up doing when that happens is you box yourself in. So no matter who you are, if you are being moved by the resentment in your life, you're moving yourself towards a trap. That's my belief. So the best way to keep that from happening is to focus on the positive, and you focus on the positive by looking into what happened at your experiences that were negative and seeing what lessons you can draw from them. Because we can learn lessons from everything and all the negative experiences we have. And that in turn helps us make better choices and create stronger connections in the future. Next question.
Hi Marcus, I recently accepted a new position that means I will have to do a lot more public speaking. I know I have it in me to do it well, but every time I get up in front of people, I feel like my throat closes up, there's no saliva in my mouth, and I can't get the words out clearly. Do you have any tips on how I can overcome this and be more successful as a public speaker?
I have a ton of tips. First tip, drink lots of water. Lots of water, hydrate. Your mouth's getting dry. Don't feel awkward about drinking water when you need to, and keep the water on you. You'll feel better having it on your person. That's one idea. Another idea is facing your fears in a way, as they say, which is a lot easier said than done, but small step practices can lead to big success. So one practice is engage yourself in the mirror, and then go and engage people who you might not necessarily engage normally. Just go and interact with as many people. And now that there is distancing and social distancing, it is an opportunity for you to go and maybe do more FaceTime with people. As you do more FaceTime with people, and as you go about spending time practicing this thing that you are nervous about, you'll find yourself getting calmer and calmer about it over time. Now, the next thing to acknowledge in this practice is make sure you're separating the difference between assessments and judgments, okay? An assessment is saying, hey, this is what's happening in this moment. It's being critical and analyzing what you are experiencing in a moment-to-moment basis. But a judgment is almost doing the exact same thing as an assessment, except the judgment says, oh, well, now that I've done my assessment, I now have locked it down in a book and it's not going to change. Close. That's a judgment. So don't judge yourself and then end up putting yourself in a box Whereas you can make assessments and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, and this is what I think I need to do to get better. But if you judge yourself and you're like, oh, I'm bad at this and I'm never gonna be good at that, then you're going to box yourself and it's gonna be that much harder for you to move forward. Now, what you see here in repetition, in theme, is that there are negative thoughts and there are positive thoughts. And the more you use your negative experiences to fuel positive thoughts, the more positive thoughts you have. It's not just positive experiences lead to positive thoughts, it's that all experiences give you an opportunity to have positive or negative thinking. And if you decide that you're going to stick to the positive thinking, well, you're going to find more productivity in your life in general, because you're not going to be weighed down as much by the negativity. Doesn't mean the negative isn't happening. Doesn't mean that you're not going to meet adversity as you're going about trying to chase this dream of yours. But it does mean that that adversity is not going to amount to hurdles you can't jump. So I hope that helps give you some motivation and some tools to use when addressing skill sets that are outside of your comfort zone and how to attack them with force. So thank you guys for joining me for our first Ask Marcus session. I look forward to you giving me some questions for later. If you want to keep up with me, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Garden Marcus. Instagram is garden_Marcus. And please check out my website, choiceforward.com. And please maintain kindness, patience, and positivity, because it's going to be the best way for us to move forward together.